So, we'll solve one more problem today on this plane stress. So this is a curved beam that is subjected to a tangential load P. And then so theta is measured from this dotted line here, and the inside radius is A and the outside radius is B. And this radius we will just call as R here, and theta is measured, as I said, from the dotted line here. And okay, so again we need to find out what is the Airy stress function related to this one. So we sort of make an intelligent guess here, and we say that the bending moment, if you see bending moment, if you find the bending moment at any given section here, you will see that the bending moment is proportional to sine theta. Okay? And so based on this, what we will assume, so assume that your field is equal to f of r times sine theta. Okay? Based on this particular thing, because these stresses will come out such that they will provide this particular bending moment here. So that we will see. Okay, then if you now substitute into del raised to 4 phi, substitute into del raised to 4 phi equal to 0, then again you sort of simplify this particular expression. You will get a fourth order differential equation for this f of r here. So that will be of the form d square by dr square plus 1 by r times d by dr minus 1 by r square times d square f by dr square plus 1 by r df by dr minus f by r square equal to 0. So this is the fourth order differential equation that we will get for f. Then if you solve this differential equation, you will get that f of r is equal to ar cubed plus b by r plus CR plus D log R. Okay, so I'm solving because there will be 4 constants in this solution because it's a fourth order differential equation here. And now you can find out, so you substitute this f of r into this, you will get the Airy stress function. Then from that you will get the stresses. So tau r is 1 by r times del phi by del r plus 1 by r square times del square phi by del theta square. So that is equal to 2 times ar minus 2 times d by r cube plus d by r times sine theta. Sine theta. And tau theta theta will be del square phi by del r square. So that is equal to 6 ar plus 2b by r cube plus d by r times sine theta. And tau r theta also we can find. So that is tau r theta is equal to minus del by del r of del phi by r del theta. So that is equal to minus 2ar minus 2b by r cube plus d by r times cos of theta. So that is tau r theta. And so now what are the boundary conditions, right? So at r equal to a and at r equal to b, your tau r and tau r theta are going to be 0 because the traction boundary condition, right? So you will get that tau r at r equal to a is equal to tau r at r equal to b is equal to 0, and also you will get that tau r theta theta at r equal to a is equal to tau r theta at r equal to b is equal to 0. So that is because these surfaces are traction free, and so you will get some equations for solving these particular constants here. Okay, then let us see here. So all right, yes. Okay, and then what about this condition here, this P? So let us write that particular condition also. Okay, so for theta equal to 0, you will get that integral of tau r theta times dr is equal to b. And so again, we are assuming that the thickness into the board is unity. Okay, so that so here we can say that the thickness is equal to 1. And so we are assuming that the thickness into the board is 1. And so tau r theta times dr will be equal to p. And so that is the tau r theta that is acting on this particular surface here times dr from a to b. So this is from a to b. That is equal to p. Okay, so after you solve for the constants using these conditions here, you will get that a is equal to p divided by 2n. You will get b is equal to minus p a square b square divided by 2n, and you will get d is equal to minus p times a square plus b square divided by n, where this n is equal to a square minus b square plus a square plus b square times log of b by a. So that is the basically this actually looks like 4 equations, but you will see when you solve them that actually these are only 2 independent equations. Okay, so that gives rise to 2 equations, and this gives you the third equation. So solving these 3 equations, you will get these 3 constants, and then the problem is solved basically, right? Because all the conditions are known here. And so for theta equal to 0, you will get, so for theta equal to 0, you will get that tau r is equal to tau theta theta is equal to 0, and you will get tau r theta is equal to minus p by n times r plus a square b square divided by r cube minus 1 by r times a square plus b square. So this is the solution that you get for tau r theta. So that is on this particular edge here. And then for theta equal to pi by 2, also we can find out what the solution is. So let's look at that also. So for theta equal to pi by 2, you will get tau r theta is equal to 0, and then you will get tau theta theta is equal to d by n times 3r minus a square plus b square divided by r cube minus a square plus b square divided by r. And tau r is equal to p by n times r plus a square b square by r cube minus a square plus b square by r. Okay, so this is the distribution of stress at theta equal to pi by 2. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you have to apply the tractions according to this particular distribution, right? So at theta equal to 0, you have to apply this star theta according to this particular distribution. Only then this whole thing will be a solution. So as I have always said that suppose if you apply this P through a different traction distribution, then you have to invoke the Savena principle, that away from this zone, this loaded zone, this stress distribution will almost be the same. Okay, so that actually we have already seen that, and so the displacements are obtained by integrating the strain displacement relations here. So I will just note that also here. Yeah, so so you'll get that displacement obtained by integrating the strain displacement and using the BCs. Conditions, u theta equal to del u theta by del r equal to 0 and theta equal to pi. Okay, so at this particular position, we say that u theta is equal to 0 and del u theta by del r is equal to 0 and theta equal to pi by 2. And what you will get is that u r, so at theta equal to 0, so you want to find out what is the displacement at the point of application of the load. So you will get that u theta at u r at theta equal to 0 is equal to minus p times pi times a square plus b square divided by e times a square minus b square plus a square plus b square times log of b by a. So this is what you will get here. And so the approximately, so if you write it in terms of, so let h be equal to b minus a. So that is the thickness or the depth of this curved beam here. So this thickness is p minus a, and if you now write this particular expression here, then this is approximately equal to minus 3 pi a cube p divided by e times h cube. Okay, so this is the reflection that you get if you make the approximation that h is small here. So this is if h is much smaller than e. Okay, so under this particular approximation, you will get this particular solution, and this solution actually agrees with the strength of material solution. So this is agrees with the strength, agrees with the strength of materials. So again you can see that, so even in the previous class we saw that the solution for the curved beam subjected to a bending load, we saw that the strength of material solution was recovered, right, as an approximation. So similar thing is happening here also, that we have the exact solution, right, whatever we have derived here, and then the strength of material solution is obtained as an approximation when h is small. So if h is large, actually you should not use the strength of material solution, right? Because then it's not a good approximation, right? So the strength of material solution is valid only when this depth of the beam, this edge, is small in comparison to the radius a, and so otherwise it is not a good approximation in this case here. Okay, fine. So all right, I think we'll move to the next topic here. So today we are going to look at an interesting problem. So that is like a point load on a half space. Okay. So this is a very, very interesting problem. So let us look at this particular problem right now. Yes. Okay. So come on. This is so basically there is a half space here. So this is a point load P that is acting on this half space here. So what do we mean by half space? Okay, so half space means that there is this surface which extends from minus infinity to plus infinity, okay, and it extends to infinity in all these directions. Okay, so this is a free surface. You are applying some load, point load here, and then here it's all infinity. And so we want to find out the solution under this point load case. Okay, and so you will see that this has lots of applications in contact electronics, right? So suppose you have a very large domain and you are pressing some indenter onto this space here, right, half space. Then this solution, whatever the point load solution, will be used to generate solutions for those cases here. And so this is a very, very important topic here, this Flaman. It's called as a Flaman problem because Flaman was the person who came up with the solution for this particular problem here. Fine. So let us take plane strain. So we will first solve the plane strain case. Plane strain case. And so what you will get is that you will get that phi divided by P. So that P is the load that is applied there. That is equal to minus 1 by pi times r times theta times sine theta. Okay, so we will justify this, but at the present moment you just accept this as the Airy stress function here. So this is my x-axis, then this is my y-axis, and then this is my r, the radial coordinate, and this is theta. This is a setup that we have, and so in terms of the polar coordinates, this is the solution that you have for this particular case here. The displacements are a little bit complicated here. Maybe I will just give you one of the displacements that so that to give you an idea. So this is 2 times mu times ur by p is equal to k1 cos theta plus k2 times sine theta plus minus 1 by pi times 1 minus 2 nu times theta times sine theta plus times 1 minus 2 nu minus plus 4 into 1 minus mu times log r. So log r times cos theta. So this is times cos theta times this one. And similarly you have 2 mu u theta divided by p is minus k1 sine theta plus k2 times cos theta plus k3 times r minus 1 by pi times 1 minus 2 mu times theta cos theta minus half times 3 minus 2 nu plus 4 into 1 minus nu times log r times sin theta. So, and tau r theta is equal to 0. So, tau r theta is equal to tau theta theta is equal to 0. And tau r is equal to, so tau r by p is equal to minus 2 cos theta divided by pi r. So this is the solution. This is the complete solution that we get corresponding to this as the area stress function. Now these constants k1, k2, k3 correspond to rigid displacements. Okay, so so let us not worry about these constants at this particular stage here. But here you will see a problem. Okay, so if you apply a point load, then you will see that as r tends to infinity, the displacements do not tend to 0. Okay, so the displacements are become unbounded as r tends to infinity. Okay, so this is one of the shortcomings of this particular problem or solution or whatever you want to call it. So that is because you are taking the domain to be infinite. The displacements do not go to 0. But if there is a corresponding three-dimensional problem, okay, known as the Boussinesq problem. So there actually, so suppose now you are considering the 3D problem here. So that is now it's a 3D half space. Okay, and there so suppose if you apply a point load at this stage, then actually the displacements will tend to 0 in that particular case. Okay, so here actually one important point is that this is actually a line load. So this is maybe probably I should have given this picture earlier. So this is actually not a point load, although it looks like a point load when you take a cross section, but actually this is a line load. Okay, so it extends to infinity because the domain extends to infinity because we are taking a plane strain case. The domain extends to infinity, and so this load also, this is like a line load that extends to infinity. But in the 3D case, it's actually a point load here, and then the displacements will tend to 0 as r tends to infinity, and the stresses will also tend to 0 as r tends to 0. So in the Flaman solution, you will see that the displacements do not tend to 0, and this is one of the shortcomings of this solution. So the displacements tend to infinity as r tends to infinity, and but the stresses, they tend to 0 because you see that there is a 1 by r in the denominator. The stresses tend to 0 as r tends to infinity here. Now let us try to show that this is actually a solution, right? Because we have not yet shown that this is a solution. So this is actually a biharmonic function. So this is biharmonic function. So that can be shown, and so from that the equations of equilibrium and the equations of compatibility are automatically satisfied. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the equations of equilibrium and equations of compatibility, because if this is biharmonic, then automatically those two equations are satisfied. So we need to worry only about the boundary conditions now. So okay, so on this one, so you can see that at theta equal to pi by 2 and theta equal to minus pi by 2, we need that tau theta theta, and so tau theta theta is equal to tau r theta equal to 0, correct? So on this part of the boundary, there is no force or no traction that is acting, and so tau theta theta should be equal to tau r theta should be equal to 0 here on this particular surface here, and that boundary condition is automatically satisfied, correct, because of this particular condition. Okay, and then the other condition that we need to satisfy is that the resultant of the load in the x direction should be equal to p or minus p if you take the sign also into account. So that also we need to check. So let us check that this particular solution gives us that particular resultant here. So let's do that. So in order to show that, we will take a circle here or a semicircle, which is surrounding this origin. So take a semicircle like this. Okay, and now take the radius of this semicircle to be a, and if you now integrate from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 of Tx at r equal to a. So Tx is the traction that is acting on this particular thing. So this is your Tx is acting in this particular direction. So you first find out what is Tx from Tr and T theta, right? Tr will be just tau r, okay, and then Tx you can find by the usual transformation law, right? T is equal to T bar is equal to Q times T. So from that particular formula, you can find out what is Tx, okay, and then evaluate it at r equal to a. Then that times a times d theta, right? Because again take a unit weight because for the force also we will do the same thing. So you can take a unit weight. And dx times a times d theta will give you the element of area that is acting, and so dx times a times d theta should be equal to integral from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 of tau r at r equal to a times cos theta times a times d theta. Correct? So this Tx, when you express it in terms of Tr, and Tr is just tau r, so from that you will get this particular expression. So basically it is Tr times cos theta, so this is cos theta here. And now if you do carry out the integration, you will see that this is equal to minus t. So basically the vertical load, correct, that is acting on this particular surface is balancing the load here, so that is equal to minus t. So that shows that the solution is an exact solution now for this particular point load here. So this is the Flaman solution here, as we said here, right? So you can see that basically we need to check only the boundary conditions essentially. So if you find a biharmonic function and if there are no body forces and so on, then just ensuring that the Airy stress function is biharmonic is enough to ensure that equilibrium and compatibility are satisfied, correct? And so the only thing we need to check is boundary conditions, right? And so in this case we check the boundary conditions, but in this case we also have to check that the total load should be P, correct? And so the constant that sits in front of that Airy stress function, which is that r theta sine theta, right? That 1 by pi constant is obtained from this particular condition, that the vertical force should be equal to P in this case, right? So that is how you get this particular solution here. Okay, so as I said that this kind of a solution is useful for generating additional solutions here. Right? So let us take a look at some of these solutions now. Okay, so suppose now I have a distribution now of loads on the okay, so now let us take on this half space. We have a distributed load that is acting on this half space here. So you can imagine now, so this is the half space, right? And so I will just draw it like this. So I mean it's extending to infinity in this direction here, and then there is some loading here. Imagine that now there is some traction load that is acting on this particular surface. So this is your x, this is your y, this is your r, and this is your theta. Right? So this is the setup that we have here. Okay, so in this particular case, you can write now. So suppose now. I need to find out now what the solution is under this distributed load now. Okay, so in this particular case, let us take this to be P of y. Okay, so this distribution, let me call it as P of y. And so what we will do is that we will take one element here. So this is at some distance eta from this. So this distance is eta, and this distance, this element length is d eta. Okay? And so P times d eta is the total force that is acting on this particular element. And so that can be considered like a point load. So let me just redraw that particular part here. So this is now your x here, and then this is now P times d eta, and this distance is eta. Okay? And so now we want to find out what is the contribution due to this P d eta at a given point, which has coordinates x comma y. So now from the previous solution, what you will get is that you will get phi of p is equal to 1 by pi times integral of p eta times eta minus y times tan inverse of y minus eta divided by x times d eta. So that is because, see now you are, so what I have done is that in place of p, I have substituted p as d eta. Then in place of r, you are substituting x square plus y minus eta square. That is because, so you can see that in this picture, you can see that now this distance is y minus eta. Correct? And so x square plus y square. So this is your r now. You can think about it. This is now your r from the local coordinate system. So suppose if you establish a local coordinate system here, then you will get that this r is nothing but this x square plus y minus eta square, the whole square. Okay? So that is thing, and then your theta. So this is your theta now from locally, from this local coordinate system. So this theta is nothing but y minus eta by x. So there is this distance by this particular distance. So tan inverse of that. So that will be theta. And then the other sine theta will be y minus eta by r. Correct? So sine theta will be y minus eta by r. Right? And so finally, if you substitute it into this one, then this is the expression that you get. And now you have to integrate it because it's like now you are finding out the effect at all the eta. Right? So you have to integrate it from minus infinity to plus infinity. Right? So that is what. So this will give me the total area stress function here, right? And because it is a scalar, I am allowed to superpose. So suppose if it had been a vector, you have to be careful, right? You cannot superpose. Suppose if there are, suppose if it's a radial vector or something like that, you have to be careful, right? Because what is radial for this particular thing will not be the same direction if I take a point here and the load. So if it were a vector along the radial direction or something, you have to be very careful. You cannot simply superpose in that particular case, right? Because you can see that the radial direction as per this local coordinate system here will be in this direction. But if you take a local coordinate system here, then it is in this some other direction. And so you cannot superpose these two directions. But here, this is just simply a scalar quantity. And so we can superpose, and that's why we can just simply integrate it from minus infinity to infinity. And this expression will give me the total area stress function due to the distributed load here, right? So whatever, and this load can also extend from minus infinity to plus infinity. So that is why we are taking the limits for this eta as minus infinity to plus infinity. And then after this, of course, now you can just find out what is the ux, uy and all that. So but at least I will write out what is tau xx in this particular case. So tau xx will be equal to minus 2 times x cubed by pi from minus infinity to infinity of p of eta times d eta by r to the 4, and you will get tau yy as equal to minus 2x divided by pi integral from minus infinity to infinity of y minus eta square times p of eta times d eta by r to the 4, and tau xy is equal to 2 times x square by phi times minus infinity to infinity of eta minus y times p of eta times d eta divided by r to the 4th. Okay. So all you have to do is now that you just simply substitute whatever is the load distribution, this p of eta, whatever is the load distribution, you simply substitute it into these expressions and carry out these integrations. That's all. And then you will get the stress components at any point x and y. So with the value of r given by this particular thing here. Right? So this is with this Airy stress function approach, we can find out the stress distribution for any arbitrary loading on this half space here using this using these particular formula here. Fine. Then let us try to see what you get at the surface here. Okay, so this at the surface x equal to 0. Let us see what the results that we get. Okay, so surface stresses is so what you will get is that tau xx at x equal to 0 is equal to tau yy at x equal to 0 is equal to minus p of y, and tau xy at x equal to 0 equal to 0. So this is what we will get. Now you have to be very careful here. See, the thing is that see this condition here, that tau xx at x equal to 0 and tau xy at x equal to 0. Tau xx at x equal to 0 is minus p of y and tau xy at x equal to 0 is 0. This is simply the boundary condition, right? Because there is no shear that is being applied on this particular surface here, and so this is simply the boundary condition, right? This tau xx at x equal to 0 is equal to minus p of y, and tau xy at x equal to 0 equal to 0. These are just the boundary conditions, right? So basically we are just ensuring that the boundary conditions are satisfied here, right? So that is not at all surprising, but the result for tau yy is a little bit surprising, correct? So this is not at all obvious. So this tau yy at x equal to 0 is equal to minus p of y is a surprising result, right? Surprising result, because so what we are saying is that the stress in this particular direction, right? So tau yy is the stress in this particular direction, that is going to be the same as whatever load you are applying. So that is a surprising result that comes out of this. Now just one note of caution here. So here in these expressions for stresses, we cannot simply substitute x equal to 0. So you will see that here I have put x equal to 0 here, right? But we cannot simply substitute x equal to 0 in these expressions here, because then all these expressions will simply come out to be 0. Okay, but you will see that actually this limit as x tends to 0 is to be taken after evaluating these integrals. Okay, so there will be some cancellation. So basically after you evaluate this integral, there may be something like 1 by x cube kind of terms which will cancel this, and then when you take the limit as x tends to 0, you will see that stresses will be of this particular kind. So that proof is a little bit difficult, so I am not going into that result about how to get that, but you can you can find out these surface stresses by a little bit of sophisticated mathematical analysis, which I am not going to get into for the purposes of this particular course here. But all I am trying to say is that you cannot simply substitute x equal to 0, because this integral may have some 1 by x cube kind of terms which will cancel this, and then the limit is to be taken after this integral is evaluated. Cannot simply plug x equal to 0 into these expressions here. And then after, as I said, that after going through this mathematics, this is what you will get. And so this is the rather surprising conclusion that you will get here. Now, so let us just look at one or two examples here. I will give you one example here. Yes. So let's see. All right. Yes. So even Timoshenko also solves this particular problem here. So this is like a load of this particular kind. So this is x, this is y, and this is minus a comma 0. 0 comma minus a, and this point here is 0 comma a. Okay, so it is extending from 0 comma minus a to a, and this is a uniform load P naught here. Okay, and so what you will get in this particular case here, so I'll just write the expression for tau xx. So tau xx by P naught is equal to 1 by pi times 2ax times y square minus a square minus x square divided by h1 h2 plus tan inverse of y minus a by x minus tan inverse of y plus a by x. So I don't want you to do all these complicated integrals. So that is not the expectation in this particular course, but I just want to show you the nature of the solution. So that is the reason that I am writing this. h1 is equal to x square plus a minus y square, and h2 is equal to x square plus a plus y square. Okay. So as I said that I don't expect you to do all these integrations, but I'm just trying to give you the solution. And similarly, you can find the expressions for tau yy by P naught and then tau xy by P naught. But I just want to bring out one very peculiar feature of this solution here. So if you see now tau yy right here, so as I said that tau yy is equal to minus p of y, correct? So that is the result that we got at the surface. Now you will see that actually there is a jump in the tau yy, correct? And so here, if you see the tau yy at this particular point, there is a jump in this stress because so just to the left of this point here, the stress will be minus p naught, correct? So tau yy from the left will be equal to minus p naught, and then from the right there is no traction that is applied, so there is a tau yy from right will be equal to p naught. Okay, so equal to 0, but this will be equal to 0, and so you will see that there is a jump in this stress. Actually that is not allowed. I mean in the sense that in today's class I mentioned that the stresses are supposed to be continuous actually, right? In a homogeneous material you cannot have a discontinuity in the stresses. So basically that says that the way we are posing this problem has a problem, in the sense that we should not be considering discontinuous loads like this. So basically you have to consider some version like this. So suppose like this, so that you are so while specifying the boundary conditions, we should specify them so that you have continuity in the traction distributions and so on. So it could be sharp, okay, and then it could go to some constant value and then drop. But so Timoshenko and all these people, many books they solve this particular problem, but they don't mention this anomaly that arises in the solution. So I just thought I will mention this particular anomaly in this particular solution. So I think we have covered this topic of this Airy stress function in fairly great detail. So in the next class we will start with a new topic.